All right, folks, we're live. I'm your host, Dash V. At least I think I'm your host, Dash V. I'm noticing that on my feed, suddenly, magically, there's no more video. So
Actually, I'm having that issue too. Of I got a still freeze of you on here.
you got to still freeze on me on there. I see
Yeah.
myself in the little thumbnail down in the lower right-hand corner. Let me try to toggle.
Okay. Well,
Let
it
me
may
try to
be maybe because you left and came back in. I'm not
maybe try
sure.
to let me try to toggle my friends.
Okay. Now,
All right, am I
okay.
back now?
Yes.
All right, folks. False start. Dash V
Rewind.
still first down. All right. So I apologize. We've got some those of you that are eagle-eyed or maybe eagle-eared. I don't know if that's a thing. You might notice that I've got some new gear today, so hopefully the sound is a bit better. I don't know if the video quality will be noticeably better, but it is a different camera, so there's been some stuff. But we've been out, man, for what, like 3 weeks now, Kyle?
Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, so we got Kyle with me here. Unfortunately, Jeremy could not make it. He had some stuff that he had to kind of deal with, and Lizzie's not feeling well. I think she has strep throat. So,
Yep.
um, fans of Lizzie, definitely put her in your prayers. Hopefully, everything willing, her strep throat and everything will be healed by next week, and hopefully we'll see her on the show soon. So, in the meantime, there's been a lot that's happened over the last 3 weeks, man.
That's
Like I don't
that's true.
I don't know about you, but like between crazy sales, there were some really good sales over this Black Friday.
Yeah.
Digital sales too. Like I made a lot more digital purchases than I normally make just because the sales were like, okay, you want to give me the whole Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2 for like under $10? All right, I'll shut up and take my money, right?
Yeah.
So Xbox had some really great sales on the Microsoft store there, and
Mhm.
I scooped up a whole bunch of stuff in digital. Some of the stuff was stuff I already had on the PlayStation 3, but as I've mentioned before, Kyle, you know this. I've actually been picking up some of the PlayStation purchases on the Xbox simply because the backward compatibility means I can actually play them on my Xbox One. So um, oddly, it might be the Xbox that allows me to retire the PlayStation 3. That is so that is just so weird that's the case. But here we are. So how about you? Did you pick up any stuff during the Black Friday sales there?
Yeah, I just went ahead and got a couple things, and I guess I can go ahead and share those. Um, so one game that I've been wanting for a while, but just kind of been waiting for it to go on sale is Near. So that went
Mhm.
on sale for like 25 bucks at most places over Black Friday. So I picked that up new. I thought that was a pretty good deal. Um, I've only played like 2 hours, a couple hours of it so far. But so
What do
far
you think of it?
the so the very first level, I've got to give the game credit because I don't think anytime recently, like it's been a long time since I played a game and I've just like laughed and went, oh my gosh, this is so cool. It really got a reaction out of me because if you play the first level, I guess slight spoilers. I think it's best to go into the game with no expectations or anything. But it actually starts out as a shoot 'em up, sort of. So kind of like an old Japanese shmup, with all the traditional like undestroyable bullets and everything else that like you have to go through and navigate, and it like switches viewpoints and it does a shmup from like top down and a few different control schemes and stuff. So it just felt really cool. To kind of see that and feel that almost like a little bit of history kind of coming back, kind of like an homage to that um, kind of retro gaming history where those
But
used to be so popular at a time.
that's only level one. The whole game's not a. I thought the whole game was a
Yes.
shmup.
No, so well, not really. There is a drone that you do get where it will constantly shoot bullets like that, in sort of a shmup fashion. But that first level, you kind of start doing that, and then you transition over to kind of more of like a Bayonetta hack and slash sort of style. It's kind of similar. Gosh, I hate kind of saying this now because everything where you dodge and hit is Dark Souls, but it's kind of that similar mechanic where it's really about dodging, getting those strikes in, and just trying to dodge on time and stuff. So the soundtrack is good so far. They did a really nice job with some of the animations, just making it feel cool. The character designs are nice. I haven't really been playing it a lot because I kind of keep switching between games, but um, it's looking pretty good so far.
So I should definitely pick it up.
Yeah, you will run into a thing with the first level, possibly, which I'm not going to spoil. So just if you get kind of angry at it, just don't get too angry at it. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, but so far it's pretty good. I'm kind of waiting to see where it goes. I kind of ran into a few probably in-game spoilers, but I feel like the story is probably kind of predictable. So we'll kind of see where that goes. The only other thing I got was Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. $10 for the day one edition, brand new. So that's something I was wanting to play. I really liked Human Revolution, and I'm not exactly sure why. I just really liked it, so I've been looking forward to playing this one. I've played a couple hours, and it is true you can tell that they kind of threw the kind of like the trying to think of it, but the system where you basically collect scrap to make things, and it really is kind of annoying, and you can tell that they threw it in last minute for the microtransactions, because I think I played for a couple hours and I got enough scrap to just make like 2 or 3 gadgets or something max, which is not very much. So I found that kind of annoying, but I'm also just not really enthralled, I guess, by it or wanting to play it as much as I did with Human Revolution. I think that's just because the cutscenes can be a little bit wordy. I feel like the dialogue trees they used. I don't know if it just doesn't work as well in this one, but every time I sit there, kind of like watching the cutscenes and waiting for that, it just feels like come on, hurry up, let's keep the game going and stuff. So I don't know, it just hasn't quite enthralled me. I even tried just messing around some gameplay in it. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it just doesn't feel there like the other game was. So we'll
Just
kind
not
of
doing it.
see. Yeah. I mean, just like I'd even just started like, okay, let's just like kill all the people in this area and see what happens, how the gameplay goes. And it just wasn't very fun. And I guess I was just expecting a little more gameplay wise, even doing something like that out of it. So I don't know. We'll see. It just doesn't quite scratch that itch for me yet, but we'll see. So
Yeah, those are always the difficult ones. The games where like you feel like you should like it, but not that you're supposed to not like a game, but you know what I mean. Like if it's a game that
right.
like it's in my genre, it's up my alley, deals with subject matter that I'm pretty interested in, and then the game just falls flat. You're kind of like, I was yours to lose.
Yeah.
So
And then lost, yeah.
I know I mentioned this before, and it's kind of funny because for most people, like I'm pretty sure this is going to get Game of the Year in most places. Breath of the Wild was that game for me. Like for all the time that I wanted it, and for all the hype and everything surrounding it, and I bought the Switch, so I could play the quote definitive edition of it or whatever. I don't know. In a lot of ways, I'm not gonna say that Zelda was a letdown because it was a good game. It was a solid game. Had I played the game and it didn't have the Zelda title, I think that I would have um um I guess not been as critical of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But just given how long it took to came out, it took for it to actually get finished, and given the false start, right, the false hope that it was going to come out a year earlier on the Wii U and things like that. Just like I did end up, I guess, expecting more of the game than Skyrim, uh, and it really was Skyrim with all Zelda themes and stuff. So I'm not, again, I wasn't disappointed. It's definitely the best Zelda game that they've ever made, but I didn't know that it like I honestly don't believe that it's like game of the year worthy stuff. I
Mhm.
mean, it's certainly. Um, it I mean, if you're talking for the Wii U, the Wii U's game of the year, absolutely no contest, right?
Right.
But if you're talking, Switch, um, okay, maybe, yeah. But if you're talking across all consoles, no way. There were lots of games that came out that were way more innovative, that pushed the boundaries of gaming a lot more, either in storytelling or in graphics or in open world, ness. But Nintendo delivering it on an Nvidia Shield device rebranded, um, just didn't really. I spent most of the game wondering, am I supposed to be getting this frustrated and pissed off that the weapons keep breaking? Right, including the Master Sword. Like, how the hell's the Master Sword break? Like, what's that? That's total bullshit. And oh, then I can buy a DLC pack, right, and then go through this
Yeah.
like Trail of Tears, 40 dungeon battle, and then if I succeed through that, then the Master Sword won't break on me anymore. So I was really, um, I didn't have a problem with the fact that they went to, a season pass with downloadable content and all that other stuff. But what really bummed me out is I felt like, to me, I plowed through and soldiered through a lot of parts of the game, going like, once I get that Master Sword, then I'm done with this breaking weapon shit. Like I'm done. And so to go through all of that was required to actually get the Master Sword to find out, wait a minute, what? Master Sword is out of energy? Like, how the hell does that even happen? And then they announced that, oh, in the DLC, I'm like, you sons of, I was not happy. I just wasn't happy. And then, he gets tired way too fast. I mean, for me, there was a lot of basic story mechanic, or not story. There's some basic game mechanic stuff that made it a chore for me more than it should have been, which really sucked because there were parts of it that I thought were amazing. Like one of the parts that I thought was really cool is that there's a place where you can play putt golf,
Yeah.
and you get you get this sledgehammer, and you can. It was, I mean, parts like that were really kind of genius. There was a temple that was kind of like collapsed on its side. And so you go into this canyon and you realize that you're like walking across the top of this temple. So you go to find the
Oh.
yeah, so you walk across the entire canyon, and eventually you get to the point where like the temple has fallen over or whatever, and you can kind of climb in and then go through. um so things like that were really interesting, but at the same time, in order to get through a lot of it, you just had to deal with a lot of these broken game mechanics that hadn't been part of any other Zelda game before, right? Like no other previous Zelda game did your bow just break, right? So now not only do I have to worry about, do I have enough arrows, I have to worry about like, is the bow actually sturdy enough to fire the arrows? I can accept that the different bows have different levels of strength and things
Mhm.
like that, right? And have different shooting distances and can shoot different numbers of arrows. I can't accept that, I shoot 10 arrows and the damn thing breaks. Like, is this a dollar store bow? Like, what's the, like what's the deal? Like I mean, Link, don't go being cheap on the bows there.
Yeah.
Or even worse, if it's not a dollar store bow, like there's some stuff there were weapons that I refused to use, that were like, powerful weapons that get gifted to you by different folks after you beat certain missions and everything. And here I am not using them because I don't want them to break, and then I'm at some boss where I could actually use it. And so then I get to the boss and then I go to use it, and it's not any more effective on the boss than any other weapon, and I break it fighting the boss, and I'm like, so things like that kind of kept it from being, game of the year for me. I don't really know what I would pick this year as game of the year, but listeners, mate, I want to say a shout out to you. Hey, I see you. Listeners, oh, is from the Dollar Tree. So I do want to say, you mentioned near and it
Yeah.
having those shmup type levels. There's a definite shmup. It's kind of like a platformer slash shmup. In fact, it jumps back and forth between the two. It's called Rive, and I don't know
I
if
don't
you've.
No, I haven't heard of that
You
one.
haven't heard of it? Haven't played it?
No.
So, folks, check out Rive if you haven't already. It's available on every platform, but, and you're not going to hear this out of my mouth often, the definitive edition is actually on the Switch. It has the highest frame rate, smoothest frame rate. They also added some additional content that's only in the Switch version. So, and I have to say, I purchased it over the vacation, and I was playing it while I had I spent my Thanksgiving break out of the country, and I ended up getting food poisoning, like terribly bad. Like literally, like I got food poisoning on Thanksgiving. I got better um this Monday, my first day back at work. So that was basically my entire vacation, was being food poisoning. So,
Man.
but I was able to get a couple of games in, and Rive was actually pretty fun to play. If you like Blaster Master, if you like R Type, things like that. What's so funny?
I'm just imagining you sitting there on the toilet playing your Switch. Right, you were the
Nobody,
Blaster Master all weekend, weren't you?
nobody, nobody wants to picture that, Kyle. Nobody wants to picture that. So, Lister, do you want to picture
Uh,
that?
oh,
I
you
don't
know
think
he does.
I don't even have to wait for the response. I know Lister doesn't want to picture that. So, but yeah, so Rive, a good game. If you like games like R-Type, you like games like Blaster Master, you'll really like, I think, Rive. It's you can jump through some parts of it and shoot. You get different power ups through different areas. You can teleport from area to area. There is kind of a story to it, so there is a progression to it. The story isn't a super deep story. It's not like A Beautiful Mind or anything like that. So, but for a shmup slash platformer to have any kind of a story, um, what Lister's mate said in the chat, I'm not going to repeat. But but yeah, for a shmup slash platformer to have a story that kind of unfolds as you go through it is kind of neat. It's a nice touch. There's voice acting actually to it, so both the characters in game as well, enemy slash antagonist, I guess you'd call them, characters, as
Mhm.
well as the main character there that you play as, are both voice acted, and the voice acting is pretty well. The script is a little kind of like, the dialogue is kind of basic, but it works for what it's meant to
Mhm.
do. And the action is tight. I mean, the action is pretty unforgiving. So expect to die in the game a lot, but it is very liberal in terms of checkpoints.
Mhm.
So, if you have to try 10, 12, 15 times to get through an area, usually you're just replaying, you know, a short segment. It's not like you're replaying 5, 10 minutes worth of game to get back to where you were. So,
Right.
so even if you're kind of grinding through it, like, you don't have to be an expert in order to play this game and clear this game. I know some folks are saying that, like, oh, the game is really hard. It's only for the diehard, blah blah blah. Folks, is bullshit. I mean, is it a difficult game? Yes. Will some of the parts of it be a grind? Yes, especially if you're not used to this kind of game. But it's not impossible by any means. It's certainly not as hard as some of the original Nintendo game shooters. There's a bit more forgiveness and leeway there. A really interesting dynamic as part of how you get upgrades is that you download, you recover sections of source code, or source code to things like viruses and everything, and you have a button that you can use that when you encounter other robots and other things like that, you can scan them and inject the code snippets that you've gotten, and you can hack them and override them, and then they become your power up. So it could add
Oh.
extra weaponry. It could be a med bot that like heals you or something like that. So it's kind of an interesting take. And I think it's only like it's somewhere between like $7 to $9. So it's definitely $7 to $9 good, folks. So if you're looking for something to do on your Switch, um, that's definitely a good option there.
There you go.
But
Dash V approval right there.
I got to tell you, so another one that I got, a couple games that I picked up actually, and it was kind of interesting because I ordered these from. So something that I learned being out of the country. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but there are so many services out there now, like digital stores and everything, that are based on your IP address. They do a reverse lookup and figure out like where you live. It was incredibly difficult for me to actually do any kind of e-commerce in the Dominican Republic. Like I tried to go to the Xbox store, like the app wouldn't even work on my phone.
Yeah.
I tried to
Yeah.
go to the PlayStation store and it said no, you're not in the right place. I tried to access my digital movie library via Vudu, like it wouldn't even load. I brought my Roku with me. I plugged my Roku into a TV, loaded up the Vudu app, and it just said outright like this will not work in this country. So which was frustrating because all these places were doing like these crazy sales for Black Friday. And here I was, I couldn't buy anything for me. I couldn't buy
Uh,
anything for my, for my family or anything, or friends. So fortunately, I had my work laptop with me, and I have a VPN, right? Obviously, that I
oh,
can
okay.
use for work.
Yeah.
So, so I opened up the laptop, and I had no choice, but like I connected the VPN, which connects me to our offices in the States. And then while I was connected to the VPN, I could go to like all these different sites and make my Christmas purchases and all that other stuff. But it was kind of frustrating. Like in the
Yeah.
digital age, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, and for people that think all I do is talk smack about Nintendo since the Switch and everything, something that I thought Nintendo actually did well was I didn't really have any issues with the Nintendo shop on the Switch, and I attest this to the fact that the Switch isn't region locked out of the gate, and the fact that they base your ability to browse and use their shop based on the country that you associated your account with.
Right.
So I really feel like Nintendo has done a solid with that one. I really feel like that was the appropriate place because while I couldn't make PSN purchases without some rigmarole, and I couldn't make, Xbox purchases without some rigmarole, I was able to pick up Rive on the Switch and pick up a couple other things without any kind of problem. So I was pretty happy. So physical games that I picked up LA Noir
Nice.
on the Nintendo Switch. So heads up to folks that don't know, this will happily eat up half of your onboard Switch memory, even if you're using the card version of it.
Mm.
There's about, I think, something like 10 to 12 gig worth of stuff it needs to download onto your memory. So if you have not yet purchased an SD card for your Switch and you're going to pick up a game like this, know that you're still unfortunately going to need to have a hefty download. So I plan on getting an SD card right away. Now, because I can't decide if I'm going to play LA Noir in portable form or if I want to play it in 4K, I got another copy of it for the Xbox One. Because on the Xbox One X, which I have, you'll notice you can play it in 4K with HDR. And folks, again, I know that this is not in line with what a lot of people are saying, but anybody that's telling you that 4K and HDR doesn't matter needs to shut the hell up and get a 4K HDR enabled TV because they don't know what they're talking about. So it does make a pretty big difference. And a lot of games, what's really cool is even if you don't like the 4K HDR, what a lot of games are actually doing is they're giving you options between frame rate or
Yeah.
image fidelity. So if you are somebody that likes, oh, I'd rather not have the 4K, I'd rather have the 60 frames per second, a lot of the games are giving you that option. So even if you just want liquid smooth frame rates and stuff, the Xbox One X is definitely a great thing. So The Evil Within 2, this was on sale. Bethesda was having a sale on this I caught it somewhere for, I think it was $25.
Mm.
Brand spanking new. And again, this is also Xbox One X enabled. You can play this in 4K. Pick this guy up. And then another one that I picked up, this one I think I saw for Microsoft was having this one on sale, I think for either $15 or $20. And so I went ahead and grabbed it. It's another 4K HDR. I think it's 4K HDR. Is it? It's Ultra HD. So this one may not be HDR, but it's definitely 4K. I haven't fired it up to check it out yet, but Super Lucky's Tale. This has been getting mixed reviews. A lot of folks say that it's really great, but it gets repetitive, etc. One person actually in their review fessed up and said, "Hey, look, um, realistically, this is kind of like Super Mario Galaxy with a fox." And if it was Super Mario in this game, I would probably be rating this game like almost perfect. But because it's some other character that I'm not really too familiar with, I'm not going to give it the same passes that I would give Mario. Like that's
Mhm.
literally what the guy said. So, um, it's very, I don't know if you can see on the back of it. It's very kind of Mario 64 slash Mario 3D World in its presentation. Open world platformer type thing. So the biggest criticisms I've seen is that it doesn't really add anything to the genre. So it looks gorgeous, but it largely feels like games that you've played before. It feels like
Mhm.
Mario games and things like that. So, but if you're looking for games, for the kids, that kind of thing, it looks like it'd be a good game. If you're looking for a family game to sit down and play with the kids and everything, it looks like a nice, good, wholesome game, and it's going to look gorgeous on the 4K on a 4K TV. So,
Nice.
um, yeah. So those were my main pickups. My last one is a little bit of a. I'll try not to rant here, but folks, Kyle's laughing because he already knows it's coming. It's coming. So I got a package in today from GameStop, and most of the stuff. So here's the plastic, right? Notice that most of these are already popped, right? There's like literally like 6 or 7 of these pockets of air. Only like 2 of them actually still have any air in it. So, as you can imagine, my Xenoblade Chronicles Special Edition arrives damaged. GameStop, seriously. Like I paid $100 for this. You can't pack some friggin' peanuts in there, or you can't wrap this goddamn thing in bubble wrap. Seriously, like what the hell? So yeah, I'm a little bit angry that got damaged. Not really too happy about that. I'll live. It's a first world problem. Um, but still, it's always a bummer when you pay that much for like some kind of special edition, collector's edition thing. You're super excited about it. And first, it arrives 3 days late, although I'll forgive them for that one because they told me ahead of time. They told me on Thursday, I got an email from them. Hey, we're really sorry. For some reason, we're going to ship your item late. We know we're going to ship it late. We're going to give you a $10 off code. So they gave me a $10 off code, which I actually used to purchase the Evil Within 2. So it was on sale for $25, but I picked it up for 15
Oh,
when all was said and
nice.
done, which is pretty darn good. So as far as I was concerned, it arriving late, that was no big deal. They made that right. And I didn't even have to ask them. They came to me and said, "Hey, look." So I entirely forgave them for that. But then, like I've had first time eBay sellers pack my stuff better than what they did. They should know better. What the hell, man?
Well, if it makes you feel better, I had not from GameStop, but just some general shipping through one company. I had issues with those too. I bought like a rifle scope, and they just put like one little thing of stuff in there, so it was just like going around. I was like, "What? What the hell? You got to pack it better than that." So I mean, I would contact them and see if you can get a new copy or something that doesn't have that issue. I mean, I know
I don't know.
if I was paying if
Part
I
of
was
me
paying
feels
that much.
like it's such a first world problem. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but I mean, if it bothers you that much and you paid over $100 for it, so
Yeah. Well, I paid $100 for it. So it comes with there's a bunch of stuff it comes with. I won't open it up right now, but you know, it comes with like a soundtrack and a poster and all this other stuff. Maybe I'll open it later if folks want to see what's in the special edition. Let me know in the chat. If you want to see what's in there, I'll show. Um
Mm.
so um unless you're PUBG 30 all the way. Down Phoenix, I don't get it. Did I miss something in the
Uh,
chat?
I don't know if that was a bot or a person in there because that's the only thing I saw it post. So no, I don't think you missed anything.
Huh, okay. All right. So, Lister, I did get to check out those old games at archive.org. That was pretty sweet. I don't have any comments really to give on them at this time because I went there, I checked it out, I saw that they had the games. I have not played the games yet, so I can't attest to their archive.org has some retro games up that you can play. And so I can't really attest to how how well they play, whether it's emulation or what's going on. So at some point, I will take a deeper look into it. Um, but I was recovering from bad tacos from the Dominican Republic for quite a while. So
That's so sad that it was right when you're doing vacation. That
oh
sucks.
man, Lister says if I paid $100 for something, I'd be bothered if it came damaged. Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's like cosmetic damage, right? Like I'm pretty sure that nothing in that box is actually physically damaged. At least I hope nothing in there's physically damaged, or I will get legitimately angry. But yeah, I mean, it's like the box is dinged, right? I mean, arguably you can find stuff like it's no worse than what you might find it in the shelf if somebody just kind of carelessly, leisurely put it on the shelf, right? So that could be arguably shelfware. They would probably contend.
Just show them
But
the packing job.
dude, like when I got the box, right? Like you can hear it like clunk, 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 clunk. I'm like, you know what? I'm that. Oh man. So I was not my heart was in my stomach at that time.
Yeah.
So because I know what it was, right? Because I've been tracking the package the whole time, so I knew what was in there. So and speaking of though, folks, if you're going to be sending out packages to folks this Christmas, make sure to properly pack them. Number one, but number two, don't public service announcement. Don't wait till the last minute. So I know
Yeah.
that it's VG Collect Secret Santa time. So you folks should be, if you're part of the VG Collect Secret Santa, you should be sending out your packages this week. This week. This is the best way for you to ensure that they will most likely receive it before Christmas.
Yeah, I know
So
where I work, we've had issues already with stuff getting there at least a few days late, and it's not even like December 10th yet. So definitely make sure to get that sent out.
yeah, yeah. I had some stuff I was following the tracking. I had one package that I ordered from Singapore, and it took less time for it to go from Singapore to San Francisco than it took for it to get from San Francisco to my house. And I live in San Jose, so like it's not like
Maybe you need to grease some more palms over here. Maybe that's the
I
issue.
I have no idea. So um Lister's mate says if you're going to send packages out, he'll more than happily receive any packages of peanut butter cookies that you may have. So if you're looking for a place to ship those peanut butter cookies, Lister's mate will give you his personal address down in the comments following this show. So
Just don't do anything to him we wouldn't do.
yeah, just don't send him anything we wouldn't send him. So that pretty much leaves it wide open. So I'm surprised nobody's commented on the giant like scar across my hand.
Oh, oh, I didn't even notice that. What
Yeah,
happened? Did you get bit by a
yeah.
shark?
So no, so we get back home, right? And we have cats. I won't mention the number of them, but we have the HOA approved number of cats, and honest.
Hmm.
And so yeah, the so one of our cats unfortunately is very temperamental. She's a rescue cat, and so we don't know what kind of we got her as a kitten, her and her sister. So we have the two cats, and they look identical. and they're very different personality. And so one of the cats is kind of like, doesn't really care what happens, right? As long as you love her, that kind of thing. And will eat just about anything in sight. Like if she sees something on the ground that looks like it could be or once was food, like she will eat it. Um, that's not the cat that got sick.
Uh,
So we get home and the other cat, her sister, um, uh, behaving kind of weirdly, that kind of thing, having some issues and everything. Not hairball issues, but there was she had coughed up blood on a part of the
oh,
carpet, and she did it a couple times. She didn't just do it once; she did it in like 3 or 4 places that day. So she'd been fine. There was no sign that there's anything wrong with her. We fed her, and then she starts coughing up blood like in a couple of spots. So obviously we took her to the vet. We wanted to see like what was going on, what was happening, and everything. And it turns out like she was so stressed out from us having left, been gone for 2 weeks, and then coming back that she'd given herself an ulcer.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like really, really, really bizarre. So I mean, they
Yeah.
did the X-ray. There's no blockage. She didn't like eat an umbrella or anything crazy like that, right? Um, there was nothing, there wasn't cancer or anything like that, but apparently she'd just gotten so stressed out, she just couldn't handle it, and so we were supposed to give her like this bland diet, so we're like trying to like give her like just regular chicken and things like that, like just really toned down like stuff. She refused to eat for 3 full days. She would not eat anything. She'd sniff the food, and then she'd walk away. And so it wasn't until like 3 days of us giving her the medicine and everything. Finally, we tried like all kinds of different foods and everything for her, and she wouldn't eat anything. Wouldn't eat anything. So today we put the normal food that she was used to eating back in her bowl because the doctor said like give her bland stuff so that it's easy on her system, so that if she's got scratchy throat or scratchy stomach, right, it's kind of easier for her to digest and everything. So we go back to her normal food, and she just ate and ate and ate that food. It's like really, really, like, wow, like how this cat would never survive the real world, like ever. Like this cat can only ever be an indoor cat because like if oh wait, you give me like real chicken? I wanted that processed crap that you've been giving me for the last like 7 years. Like I'd rather die than eat real chicken. It's like
You
how
want you want to give me a real hamburger? Nah, I want McDonald's. I want that Big Mac.
right. She's willing to starve herself to death that rather than, eat something that's different than what she's used to. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure because we're like, well, what she got? Like, is it an ulcer? Is it an ulcer? So she wasn't officially diagnosed with it being an ulcer. It was kind of like a maybe it's an ulcer. Give her this medicine and she see if she gets better. So, but after the 3 days of her refusing to eat, not because she's in pain, right? Not because she's dying, but literally because she doesn't want like anything other than the exact. Because we even tried like other brand, like other kind, like less rich, cat food, and she just would not touch it at all. So it's like, unless it's her exact brand and everything. So that was really interesting. It's like why, it's at some point it's like why did I leave the house?
Oh.
I could have been sick at home, fed the cat what it wanted to eat, family could have went off and had fun and everything. I could have maybe finally beaten I am Setsuna.
No, had to get sick.
Had to
Those
get
those fish tacos
had to go to another country and get sick
on
in that
vacation.
country. Yeah, and had to stress my cat out, right? What are
That's
you
it.
trying to feed me? Where'd you go? And now why are you back? What are you trying to feed me? What's going on?
That's it.
Yeah,
He'll be
Lister
like,
says she was on a hunger strike because I was out.
maybe. Yeah, you ever love someone so
Maybe
much that you just give yourself an ulcer because you miss them so bad?
that's what happened to her. So the scratch came from when she's at home and she's like coughing up, blood and everything. We're obviously we're like worried about her, so we want to take her to
Right.
the vet, and you don't want to wait on that because it's like WebMD, right? Like pretty much anything that you look up, it doesn't matter what your symptoms are, right? It's like this is either a cold or you're about to die of cancer, and you're like, what the heck? Like, it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure it's like it's an ingrown nail. Oh, it could be an ingrown nail, or it could be an infection that will kill you. And you're like, what? So yeah, same thing with the cat. Like we're reading, and it's like, oh, it could be an ulcer due to stress, or it could be that they have like lung cancer and they're gonna die like in within the week. It's like, holy crap. So we wanted to take her to the vet, but you know, where she's like stressed out by like food differences and everything, as you can tell, she's not like the most, you know, docile cat. So I tried to do the whole like, come here, baby, it's okay, all right. And so she comes up and I'm petting her. And so then I lightly grab to put into the cat carrier, and she digs one of her back claws into my calves and
Oh,
left three giant, like you can see, like she left gouges in my leg where each one of her paws are with her back paw. So she dug that and she used that to like leap away from me. The other foot, she used this and just scratched all. You could see like two of them got me at once.
man.
And even worse, right? Then obviously, like it hurt so bad because this is 4 days of healing you're
Gosh,
looking at right
dog.
now. So it was a lot worse on either Friday night or Saturday morning. I don't remember because the time zone being. I got back on Friday from DR, and it's 4 hours different from here. So the days are kind of blurry over the weekends, but yeah, she got me good. So obviously, like I'm like, fine, die.
Love hurts
I'm like,
sometimes,
it's
Chris.
like, yeah, it hurt really bad. I'm like, just sorry, you go on. And then my wife was able to kind of get her, and she likes my wife a lot better than she likes me to be. I don't know why. For some reason, she just doesn't like me at all. So my wife was able to get her and put her in the carrier and take her to the vet, and we were able to figure out what's going on. And so she's eating her regular food as of the last day and a half. She hasn't had any more issues. So it looks like it was just, it's like, holy cow, like you are so stressed out about the least little change that you won't even eat a different food in your bowl.
Do not set her out in the wild. She will not make it.
Yeah. Meanwhile, her sister's like camping there by the bowl. Like, you're not gonna eat that? Like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Right. So we're
Just
trying to like keep.
hounding down on that chicken.
Oh, exactly. The other cat's like, well, if you're not gonna eat chicken and rice, dude, I could do this all day long. You got any broth to go with this? It's kind of bland. I'll eat it,
Can you
but
get sick more often?
right. It's like, but her sister though, her sister's crazy. Her sister will eat buffalo chicken wings.
Holy crap.
Oh yeah, it's the craziest thing. It'll jump up, steal one from the table, and then it's got it down. It'll be like, so you can tell, like the hot sauce. Like it just has this reaction from the hot sauce, like, what the hell is that? And then it goes back for the chicken, like it won't stop. Like, wow, I don't know what this is, but underneath all that's some chicken, so I ain't gonna give up.
That's not the nastiest thing I've ever eaten.
You know what? And since these are stray cats, like at one point, like I believe it. I believe they probably, it's like, you have no idea what I found in that dumpster, and I still powered through it. So yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that story with us, Chris. That
No, no,
was
I wanted to make sure folks knew, what was going on. Like I'd like to say it was from something manly, but no, like my timid,
another ninja attack, right?
yeah, the ninja, yes. So the ninja that destroyed my Game Informer and dented my GameStop purchase, right? This is the wound that I sustained. So, folks, Christmas is coming up. Remember, get the packages out early. If it's VG Collect, send them out. Um, if you're gonna leave your pets, you know, make sure make sure to, I don't know what I could have done. Like maybe I should have Skyped her or something while I was gone, you know, be like, hey kitty, how's it going? I have no idea. May says he loves that story. So my goodness, Lizzie, you got to come back because I'm telling
Yeah.
cat stories. Lizzie, I'm telling cat stories. Can you believe this? I'm telling cat stories. I'm taking Lord's name in vain. We're out of control. It's just crazy. When we don't have Lizzie, when we don't have Jeremy, these are the things that happen.
Chris
So
just gets off his leash.
I do have to say though, what was really cool is coming back from the vacation, being gone that long.
Mhm.
It's really weird. This is the first time I was ever excited by the fact that there would be updates on my Xbox. I swear, like I came back when I left, there was 4 games out of my. I have to put it in perspective. I have, I think, currently 78 games for Xbox One between digital and physical. So, of those 78 games, when I left early November, 4 of them were Xbox One X enhanced. Coming back, 13 of them are Xbox One X enhanced. So
Dang.
none of these companies are slouching. They're kicking these things out. So the Fallout 4 patch is out now. The Fallout 3 patch has been out. The original Mirror's Edge, if you have that game already, it's available. It looks great in HDR. It's one of the few games that actually really kind of blew me away on the Xbox One X. And partly it blew me away because wait a minute, this is a 360 game and it looks amazing. So just the technical feat that I knew that that was kind of blew me away. But the HDR, honestly, like I know folks are trying to judge this stuff based on screenshots they're seeing. Like, folks, you can't really see the difference on a non 4K, non HDR screen, especially in a screenshot of the stuff really looks good in
Mhm.
motion. Like you have to see this stuff in motion. So um, so yeah, Evil Within 2 got its update. Super Lucky's Tale got its update. Recore Definitive Edition got its update. And these games look and play gorgeous. So um, I was pretty excited. I thought it was weird because last Christmas I was like, I don't want to play. I don't want to be sitting here waiting for updates.
Right.
But you know,
Uh,
as soon as I got home, I got off the plane. Literally, like I dropped the bags in the living room. I turned on the TV, turned on the Xbox, loaded up the section where like it'll show you like the updates going, and then I proceeded to unpack all my stuff and go and do all my other stuff because I the next day, Saturday, I wanted to play some of these games updated, and I was super excited to do that. So.
cool.
Lister's mate says it's how I feel when I go to sleep. When I wake up, it's like a surprise to see all the activity that happened while I was asleep.
Yeah, nowadays a lot happening while you're asleep.
Oh my goodness. Amazon was busy too. I don't usually talk about work on the show,
Oh,
but I do a
yeah.
lot of stuff on in Amazon Cloud. And so what was really amazing was there was a couple of there's a couple technical challenges that we had in the data center where I work that the the challenges kind of came up like a week before my vacation, and none of them really had like easy, elegant solutions. There were solutions to them, but they were going to be pretty involved and they required changing stuff that you kind of don't want to change before you leave the country for 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're going to table those and I'll handle those when I get back. So I get back only to find out that Amazon, they had this activity called reInvent, where each year they do a reInvent where they basically they batch up all their major announcements and all their major accomplishments and they just unload them all on that week. And they have, you know, people can go to these conferences and you pay all this money and all this other stuff. And they tell you everything that's going on and it blows your mind. So I didn't go this year because I was on vacation, but I come back and I'm reading like the whole, like at this year's reInvent and like there's 3 or 4 dozen things that they announced, but every single thing that I said, let's table this till I get back, they delivered some new feature, some new thing that that like 100% easy and elegantly addresses exactly that thing that I tabled.
Wow.
So it
Well,
was
that's nice.
pretty, yeah, it was pretty amazing, right? I get back from work and they're like, dude, you should go on vacation more often because while you were gone, Amazon did everything. So I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Like, so nobody burned the place down, and Amazon solved a bunch of the problems that a bunch of the challenges. They have features and stuff that we still have to do some stuff, but the stuff that we have to do is way simpler than if we had done it 2.5 weeks ago. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, it's just amazing like how like gaming technology is improving, data center technology is improving. I know it's late for Thanksgiving, but I kind of want to end the show today on the note of there's been a lot going on in the world, uh, this year, especially a new administration, very different from what we've been dealing with previously. And a lot of us feel very passionately about that in different ways. And, the media has been kind of just more in your face than ever about just how messed up things are just in the world in general, not just specifically with the political scene, but there's been a lot of stuff, out there. I know that there's been a lot of turmoil in the gaming scene and stuff like that. Certainly Hollywood, right, is coming apart at the seams with everybody appearing to be, abusive to women. Pro tip, don't do that. It's not cool. But it's easy to kind of lose sight of how blessed we still are. Like, so I spent the last 2.5 weeks in a country where you can't drink the tap water anywhere. Even when I was in a resort, the tap water was not drinkable. You had to have bottled water. I spent time on a beach where my son and I we walked along the beach, and the beach was amazing, super clean, water was great, everything was amazing. And then we come up to what was an abandoned resort. This resort was a resort that had been destroyed about 10, 15 years ago by a hurricane. And all that was left was the pavement and the forms that made up the buildings. So, and I don't think the hurricane did all that damage. I think hurricane did a bunch of damage. Whatever the company was that owned the resort said, the heck with it, right? And they took out the windows, took out the roofs, took out the doors, all the plumbing and anything of value they had scrapped, right? And they just left the concrete walls and floors. So my son and I were going through exploring. I got some GoPro footage. I'll be posting that maybe later. But as we're exploring, we get to one and we find like a bed and we find some stuff. And my son's like, how soon, this looks kind of recent. Like, how
Mhm.
soon do you think this is? And then we hear a dog barking. So we go outside. And so he's like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing inside my, I live here. And wow, like there was an entire family living in these, and there was like mold and dirt and all kind. Theirs was actually clean, which is one of the things that surprised us. As we go into this one, and all of a sudden, like it's actually pretty clean. Like the floor is swept and all that kind of stuff. And there's like this bed and everything, and but the rest of it, like the surrounding areas and everything, where that didn't have like somebody living in it, were like just like like Resident Evil level
Okay.
like destruction. Yeah, no, I'm serious. I'm not exaggerating. Like imagine the most dirtiest, grungiest, right? Like the pool water was like green and there's like a dead animal in it and there were all these like
Oh,
there's all these flies and everything in the pool and everything. And you go into the cabana house and it's totally covered in mold, that kind of thing. And then you walk across the way and you go into this other thing and you turn the corner and suddenly there's like a room that's been like somebody's actually cleaned that room. Somebody's actually, and there's a bed made up there and there's a couple just basic possessions in there. It's like, wow, somebody was living here. And so, you look at stuff like that and, people, you're driving your car down the street and you've got kids like the middle of the day, you got kids running up, like washing your car while the traffic is still going and like kids are running up and they're washing your car and everything and then tapping on the window like pesos, pesos, right? They want money. And so I asked a friend of mine that lived there, like, why, how come these kids aren't in school? And he said they only have school 4 hours a day. I'm like, how's that enough to teach them like what they need? He goes, just basics are taught. Like they're not being taught a trade. They're not being taught they're just it's just basics, right? Language basics and reading and writing basics, and that's that's pretty much it. Like they're not getting taught in a way that'll like prepare them for college and all this other stuff. Um, I mean, then you come back to America, right? Where the only thing I really have to complain about is GameStop dented my friggin' Xenoblade Chronicles 2 special edition box that I paid $100 for, right? So it kind of puts things in perspective. We're very blessed. So not just us here in America, but there's a lot of countries where you can drink the tap water. There's a lot of countries where, you've got, medical care that's available to you. You may not be able to pay what you think you should be able to pay for it, but it's still at least there. It exists, right?
Yeah.
There's schools that are there that exist. You may not be totally happy with your public school or whatever, or a Common Core or whatever the case may be, but you have a public school that's teaching your kid well enough to where they would be able to attend a college. Maybe they can't attend the most expensive, bestest college in the world, but they can attend a college. There's different levels of college that they may have to kind of adjust their expectations. So, so one of our other biggest worries is making sure that we've mailed out, our packages before Christmas. So I feel really blessed. There's a lot in this country, in this world, to gaming. I mean, the internet out there was absolutely awful. It would take me like, 10, 15 minutes to load a single web page. I'm not exaggerating. And so forget about using your phone for like, GPS and all that other stuff. It didn't work like that. So let alone having Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, right? And doing all this Call of Duty stuff. Like, are you friggin' kidding me? Get the hell out of here. So, um, we should be thankful for the things that we have. Thankful for our freedoms. Thankful for our technology. Thankful for all this stuff. It doesn't mean that we can't point out things that aren't the way that we want them to be, and that we shouldn't try to always do better. I think that there's good in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to let people know that there's a lot of good in the world already, and that there's a lot of things that we're very blessed with that maybe we take for granted, right? I think my cat got better health care this week than some of the people, right?
Yeah.
In some of the places that I was at, especially as you get closer to the other side of the island where you're starting to get close to the border of Haiti, right? I mean, some of these beautiful people, beautiful country, but there's definitely they have different challenges than we have, and I wouldn't trade our challenges for their challenges. That's for sure. So I think we should just try to keep things in perspective this holiday season, and maybe think about some of those folks that aren't as fortunate as we are, and think if there's anything that we can do to kind of help those folks out. Um, so even if it's just being thankful for what we have and recognizing what we have and taking care of what we have. So
Agree.
so that's it. So that's my belated Thanksgiving appreciation for things. So for whatever that's worth.
Sounds good to me.
Alrighty. So folks, we're at time. So I want to let you guys get back to your evening or your morning or whenever you're watching this. I just want to return you to your life. I free you. You shall pass. Unlike all that horrible food that I wasn't able to digest.
It passed right through.
So, yeah. So, folks, we'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully, we'll have a fuller roster of folks with you. So, in terms of Christmas, right? I want to hear from you guys between now and next week. What are you hoping to get for Christmas? What are you hoping to see for Christmas? What did you do over Thanksgiving? And what are you thankful for? So go ahead and drop those down doodly doo, and we'll pick those up next week. Also, hopefully sometime this month, we're going to be tag teaming with the folks from OPB, our parents' basement, to do our VG Collect Secret Santa unwrappings together. So look out for that. All right. Until then, take care.